It is Christmas Eve, 2019. It's close to 1,400 hours, I think. I want to talk about our economy, the American economy. I'll try to keep this kind of short. I've been old enough to remember the ups and downs in our economy in my 55 years of life. The first time I remember our economy being shit was under Jimmy Carter. How do I remember that? Well, I remember the farmers that sold their fields for development, and builders bought the land and they built houses that they never finished. They left them half built, and I played in those houses as a kid. And for me, I specifically remember an old barn that never got torn down, still filled with straw in the hayloft. Played in those things for it seemed like years. And then Reagan came, and then everything changed. Everything changed. Those houses eventually got built. So let's fast forward to 2007. 2006. Last year to George W. Bush, and then Obama, and the economy just completely crashes. The housing market crashes. Once again, abandoned homes. I saw it everywhere. I saw half-built homes that never got built, land that went fallow. I know of entire subdivisions where they put the roads in and fire hydrants, and they never put any houses in. Not just that, lots of abandoned pre-existing homes. Every block had one or two of them. How could I tell? Well, I just drive down the street and you saw the grass was longer than everybody else's. Then you look closer and you realize that there were no drapes or shades or anything in the windows, and there was nothing in the house. They were all abandoned homes. People got underwater with their mortgages, and see you later. Obama didn't do shit for the economy for 10 years. He tried. Right now, I'm just about a mile from a 5-mile stretch of sidewalk that Obama put in alongside cornfields as part of his Putting America Back to Work program. Made sure he had his big signs out there to say, Putting America Back to Work. Putting a sidewalk alongside a cornfield for 5 miles. Building bike paths and parks. He took that bullshit from FDR damn near 100 years ago. It didn't work then. It doesn't work now. So Trump comes in and everything changes. For 10 years, I drove past a waste management company that had a now hiring sign out for sorters, meaning that they want people to sort through the recyclables as they're going through stuff. I went past that sign every Tuesday for 10 years. Every Tuesday for 10 years. That signs, they advertised how much they were paying an hour, and it was $10 an hour. That sign never went down. It was always there. Trump gets elected. The sign goes up to $11.50. Then it goes up to $13.50. Now it's at $15.50. Now, why would that be? For 10 years it sat at 10, and now it's up $5.50. Why would that be? It's really simple. Competition in the job market. They still need employees, and they weren't getting what they needed at $10. There's more people paying more money, which means they have to increase their price to get more workers. It is that simple. So I've been a blue-collar worker my whole life. And I've never been constrained by four walls in my little field of expertise. So I get to see things out on the road every day. And I pass through areas that I'm familiar with and areas I'm unfamiliar with. Meaning that there are places I go by all the time and places I don't go by every day. And I see the changes. I see signs up looking for people. I see signs by looking for skilled labor, looking for mold technicians, mold inspectors, machine operators. I am seeing this everywhere. There is an explosion in the manufacturing and the distribution portions of our economy. Now, I live in this shithole that's known as Illinois. It's a shithole. They tax you to death here because it's run by Democrats. And this state doesn't progress like the other states in the union do. Let's take Texas as an example. So Trump has done something with the economy. I have a very good friend who is a metallurgist. He went to college, studied metallurgy. He's an engineer. He's an engineer that works with metals. At one time, he helped design the metal on the skin of the space shuttle. Okay? He's been out of work for 10 years. I've known him for over 10 years now. When I met him, he was out of work. Couldn't get a job here in Illinois. I talked to him the other day. He is at retirement age at this point. He is getting, companies are trying to recruit him to work for them. At retirement age. What does that tell you? And their companies here in Illinois. Before he could have moved out of state and got a job in Texas. He didn't want to leave because he had family nearby. He's amazed. He says, I'm getting so many job offers. He says, I cannot believe this. He got by for the past 10 years being a substitute teacher and then doing some side work that he had during the summer months. That's how he survived. All of a sudden now, out of the blue, it is no coincidence that it's under the Trump administration. 2 weeks ago, I'm talking with a friend of mine who's 69 years old and about to retire from being a janitor, more or less, in a school district. He tells me he is getting calls from steel mills wanting to make him a foreman. I said, wait a minute, why are they calling you? He said, because years and years ago, I used to work in the steel industry. The same steel industry that the Chinese and the Japanese put out of business. A 69-year-old man wants to be hired by a steel company, by steel companies that he hasn't worked for in decades. Think about this. Now, if you're a blue-collar worker and you put on your little suit and tie every day and you go to work and you're going to deal with people that are suing other people over the tree limbs hanging over their property line, this isn't going to be relatable to you. It's not going to be relatable to any of you people that don't mind paying $20,000 a year in property tax and live in $500,000 homes. None of this is going to relate to you. You can go vote for your liberal Democrats because that's how you vote. But when it's people like me that work with our hands, that didn't go to college and spend $300,000 on a degree in gender studies, we are the people that vote for Trump. We are the people that the rest of you call the worst things that dehumanize as much as you possibly can. I have to function with some of you. And I've learned to really hate your elitist, superior bullshit because you think you're smug and you're ridiculous and you think you are so wise in your own eyes. I have really come to detest you. I really have. After having come to actually get to know some of you, you guys you're shallow, you're empty, and you're weak. There is something going on with the economy that Trump has started. Now, here's the problem that's going to happen. If a Democrat gets into office, something is going to change in this economy, and it's going to go. And the Democrats are never going to be able to make it prosper again. They never will, and I'm going to tell you why. Trump was wise enough to realize that we spent a fortune on our military supporting all these other stupid-ass countries we've been looking after since World War II. None of these countries in Europe that are always been worried about the Russians ever spent a dime on military because we always had their back. So all that extra money that they make from taxes, they put into their health care and all their other social bullshit programs. We can never do that because we're too busy worrying about the Russians for them. Same with the Japanese. We didn't allow the Japanese or the Germans to have an army after the war. So guess where all their money went? And we rebuilt their countries. They didn't have it. They were reduced to rubble. We built their countries. We rebuilt them from the ground up after everything was devastated. Put them on the economic powerhouse map. The Germans are an economic powerhouse, so are the Japanese. They don't have to spend any money on defense because we will take care of it. Any sensible thinking person can see this. Why does Trump get elected? Because that is one of his promises. So what's he doing? He's trying to force all these other schmucks in NATO to pay up. Rightly so. China has been ripping us off for years. Any of you that had to deal with the consequences of NAFTA, once again, you little tie-wearing schmucks who are going off to your little office, you don't see it. I saw it. I watched it devastate industries that were around, businesses that were around for 80, 120 years. I watched them go bankrupt within 5 because of NAFTA. And finally, some guy comes around and says he's going to do something about it, and he does. This is why Trump gets elected. So I'm going to give you a little scenario for all you people who hate Donald Trump. You had 8 years of Obama, and you had a whole generation that came up thinking, oh, this guy's great, he's fantastic, we're young and we're stupid and we don't know anything because we're kids. And then you go to school and you get your degrees in gender study, and humans have 100,000 genders, and racial studies. And you get degrees in things that you can never use, that you'll never be able to, because you never thought, oh, gee, maybe I should get something in the trades. Maybe we're going to need electricians again someday. But you never thought about that. You thought you were going to get some easy job pushing pencils somewhere, and they were going to pay you $200,000 a year for it. Well, guess what? That ain't happening. So what happens if you get a man into office that changes the way our economy functions, and you get 8 years of kids coming up in a whole different type of economy? They're going to learn to be supporters of conservative values. So once again, if Trump gets elected and goes to 2024, you're going to have a whole new generation of people who are going to have a whole different perspective, the opposite of the schmucks that came out of the Obama administration. And this is where it's going to get really funny. Politicians always run on a strong economy. The way these Democrats work now, that's never going to happen again. You think that bullshit that Elizabeth Warren is spitting out makes everybody in Wall Street and big corporations, whether they're tech companies or not, you think they want to hear what she says? If you don't know what she says about big tech or big business, you better pay attention. Stocks and bonds, money rules things regardless of what you want. The market dictates who gets hired and how much gets hired. It's no different than in nature. If there's a lot of things to be eaten, there's going to be a lot of something that eats it. And the consequences of that is those things that eat it are going to have a lot more of them. If it gets to the point where there's not much more to eat, then a whole bunch of other things that eat it die off until it can fit into the structure of the amount of food that it eats. An economy is no different. It rises and falls based on supply and demand. Nature's the same way. It mimics nature. So if Democrats get in office, you want to see the economy go, and they're never, ever going to be able to do it again. They're never going to get it up here again, because they have this whole thing about equal outcome. You're not going to get equal outcome because nobody's equal. You're not equal to me. I'm not equal to you. I'm better at some things than you are, and you're better at some things than I am, and you're weaker in some things I am, and vice versa. It's just the way it is. And the labor market's always going to respond to people who have favorable traits that suit their needs, just like in nature. Favorable traits that are going to suit the company's needs for them to make money. And if you can't help them make money or save money, they're not going to hire you. So you have to have some type of value for a company to hire you. Your degree in gender studies is not going to affect how well you flip a burger. But I know that degree in gender studies sure is not going to put you as a foreman in a steel mill. Think about it. So what you got here is an economy that Trump has forever changed. If he gets elected again and he has 4 more years and it continues to grow and expand, somebody else gets in, it's not going to carry on that legacy. It's going to collapse. And people always vote with their pocketbooks. And if you're hungry, there's a whole people that don't mind. There's a lot of people that think it's fine to live in perpetual teenagehood and just are happy to suck off the government tit for the rest of their lives because they don't want anything else out of their life. But if you want more out of life, if you want more than what the basic necessities of life that the government provides you, you're going to want to work for something better. You're going to want to. You being a higher organism wants that. You know, bacteria are content being bacteria. Let them feast on the dead. You're going to want that. So you're going to vote with your pocketbook because you're going to vote for somebody that's going to make your economic situation change for the better. But the Democrats are never going to be able to do this ever again. And that is why they want to get his ass out of office. They want to get his ass out of office at any cost because they know that the longer he stays in and the more successful he gets, they know that whoever takes over the reins when he is gone has a higher likelihood of being elected again. But that may not happen because all these other idiots will believe the lies that liberals say. But regardless of the situation, the economy is going to be independent of that. And it's not going to respond favorably to a socialist agenda, and it's going to go. And as long as we have the right to vote, we can always vote these people out of office regardless. And eventually, if people are hurting enough, they will always vote for somebody that's going to help them make their lives better. Just giving them free food is not going to be enough. And that's what you won't see come in the future. That, whatever President Trump is doing, he's doing something. When you're driving around, pay attention. Because I've been driving around a long time. I've never seen anything quite like what I see now. And if I'm seeing it in the shithole state of Illinois, you should be seeing it wherever you're at.